Good morning, Nishant, says Mr. Abhishek Sharma. Good morning, Mr. Sharma. Good morning. I'm just figuring out LinkedIn today. I'm early. I'm early. And I'm happy about being early. Good morning, bye. Uh, yeah, I think I'm live today. Wow, nice. I think it's connected. Perfect. I'm live. I'm live on LinkedIn. I'm live on YouTube. I've sent people messages on WhatsApp. So that's beautiful. Let's go. Can you hear me? I guess there was a problem with the browser, you know. Yesterday I was trying to do this on Google Chrome, as I always do. It wasn't happening. So now I tried Safari and it happened. So maybe it was the browser. Should we begin? Are you good to go? Can you hear me? I've sent messages on WhatsApp. Yeah, that's great. So let me know. Yes, you are audible. Beautiful. So let's begin the show that we deserve, right? The show that we deserve. Bum 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 bum. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Thinker's Frequency. We are having such a good time. This is the peak of human civilization. We are working so hard, doing such good work for ourselves, our parents, our kids, our siblings, our husbands, our wives, our friends, everybody. Well, not other people's husbands and wives, I hope. And just when we thought things couldn't get any better, like they couldn't possibly get any better, well, they just did. Call it divine intervention, folks, but things just got a whole lot better. Now we have Thinker's Frequency, our daily mental workout, our daily dose of insights and analysis, which don't lead to paralysis right before we punch in. So let's continue with our journey of reading between the lines, things that are especially interesting and important in the world of business and finance. Let's go! But before we go, gotta follow a tradition, right? You know the tradition. You know the sweet and sacred tradition of the simultaneous sip. We'll all sip something together and it'll bring us good luck, as it always does, without fail, every day. And all you need for the simultaneous sip is a copper mug, a glass, a tank, a chalice, a stein, a canteen jug, a flask, or a vessel of any kind. Pour it with your favorite liquid. I like some hot water with black pepper in it. And here we go. Beautiful. Let's do it again. So nice. Sublime. You know what the simultaneous sip says, right? You know what it says? It says that you are not alone. It says that we are in this together, which is such a beautiful thing to say. With that out of the way, let's begin. So today is an interesting day, as every day is essentially. But today is the day for a bit of good news. Good news, you ask? The consumption story is getting clearer a bit by each passing day, and it seems like the country is getting out of the woods. It seems like things are actually happening. How much at the bottom of the pyramid, nobody knows for sure. But premium things have suddenly and absolutely, undoubtedly picked up, right? Maruti has leapfrogged everybody as far as its market cap is considered. So Maruti perhaps has a market cap of $57.8 billion now, which is huge. It's the 8th largest company by market cap in the world, $57.6 billion. The stock has been rising. It's risen above 20% in a very short period of time. So Maruti is over. It's probably right there, right? If you look at all the companies, there's Tesla, there's Toyota, there's BYD, Ferrari, BMW, Mercedes, Honda, and then Maruti. So it's above Ford, it's above General Motors. It's basically killing it, right? So Tesla is worth 1.4 trillion, of course. Toyota at $300 billion. Then there's BYD at $133 billion. Ferrari at 90, and Maruti at $57.6 billion. Maruti, by the way, The Indian version, or let's say the Indian wing of Suzuki, is bigger than Suzuki. So Suzuki is a $29 billion company, but Maruti is a $58 billion company. So clearly, the GST 2.0 has helped its perception uh, for the investing janta, right? That's good news. Another good news is that HAL has cleared a 62,000 crore order for fighter jets, the LCA light combat aircraft, Tejas, right? So they're gonna have induction of more Tejas aircrafts, or sorry, more LCA aircrafts uh, from HAL. So this is gonna be the delivery of these will be commencing from 2027, and then it'll take 5 or 7 years to take all of these planes in. Uh, this particular contract will take the IAF strength to 180 fighter jets. IAF, Indian Air Force, has been reeling under stress of not having enough aircrafts, fighter aircrafts. IAS strength in fighter aircrafts is its lowest in 40 years. So last time, 1964 or 1960s, one year in 1960s, that's where our strength is right now. As many planes as we had in 1960, active fighter aircrafts, that's how many planes we have right now. So 1964, I guess that was the year. We are very, very low as far as the strength of fighter aircrafts that we possess right now. So this particular thing is going to add 180, right? 90, the contract for 97 LCA Mk1, including 68 fighters and 29 twin-seat trainers, will take the total number of jets to 180, right? This will get commenced during 27-28, and it'll be completed within a period of 6 years. So HAL will ramp up the production of 24 jets per year, and that's gonna happen. So HAL, good news for HAL, of course, right? Good news for HAL is good news for the Indian defense industry. Indian defense industry, good news for Indian defense industry is good news for the government, for the country, right? We've discussed how defense is extremely, extremely important for the entire country. So this is great news. The jets, however, the engines of those jets are still made by somebody else. So there's something very important if you were interested in a data point. The aircraft will have an indigenous content of over 64%. So 64% is the content, the indigenization as far as this tech is considered, which is great, which is great. But at the moment, we are still very dependent on the General Electrics of the world, right? That's where we get our particular uh, aircraft jets. Now, I have always said what I feel about the fighter aircraft domain. I don't see India doing a lot of work as far as drones are considered. Uh, we really need to spend like an extraordinary amount of money on drones, because drone tech is the frontier tech, and it's gonna help a lot of people. So it's gonna usher an entire technological paradigm or renaissance of sorts, right? Somehow that's not picking up. I think I should write an article about that, because this needs to come out. Anyway, India has also tested a train-based missile launch system, Agni Prime missile fired from a rail-based mobile launcher. So train-based mobile launcher for a missile system, that's extraordinary. That's pretty huge. So a lot of good news for the Indian defense sector, right? These are not small happenings. This doesn't happen every day, and these things need to be judged for their second and third order effects, as we always say, because this is an ongoing story. This signals a lot of things, right? Speaking of signaling a lot of things, shipbuilding, an allied industry of defense. Shipbuilding has a lot to do with defense, of course. Shipping Secretary has come out saying that all SOPs which the the Indian government has come out with, 70,000 crore worth of maritime push, right? They can be accessed together. So they're really going all guns blazing on the shipbuilding industry. because India needs shipbuilding industry a lot, right? So they're saying that there are three, funds for that. There's something called a national fund. Uh, so I'll tell you the data points. Just 1 second. So there's 124,000 crore play. Yeah. So here it goes. The first one is the Union Cabinet approved a national shipbuilding mission. So first is the national shipbuilding mission. That's a 24,000 crore, 24,700 crore shipbuilding financial assistance scheme. It's called SBFAs, right? It includes a credit note of 4,000 crores. That's number one. Then there is a maritime development fund, which is a 25,000 crore corpus, right? And then there's a shipbuilding development scheme, that is a 19,000 crore scheme. So all of these things, the government says that you can access them all together, right? So, and of course, shipbuilding has gotten the infrastructure status. You know what the infrastructure status does to the shipbuilding industry? It leads to better financing, easier access for money, right? Which essentially spearheads the industry in a very, very nice, beautiful way. So this is the good news for the economy. One of Indian companies. It's not really Indian. Maruti is not an Indian company, unfortunately. Maruti doesn't have Indian shareholding. Government doesn't own much shares in Maruti, if it all does. It's basically a Suzuki company. But yeah, it builds in India. It builds for India. It also has some export value. So it's good news. But defense and shipbuilding, that's definitely good news. So they're saying that they're going to usher a new era of ship recycling in India. So that's also a market which the government really is very, very bullish on. So all of these things are going to help the country, of course. It's going to lead to a lot of jobs. And it's also going to help the investors who look at these frontier industries as a means to make money, right? So that's nice. Speaking of means to make money and frontier tech, green hydrogen is becoming globally competitive, says Mr. Joshi, right? Mr. Prahlad Joshi, who's the renewable energy minister of our country. He says that the cost of green hydrogen has come to 55 cents as far as the whole, the recent play is considered. So I'll just tell you the data point he says. He says in the recently concluded auctions for supply of 7,24,000 tons of green hydrogen, green ammonia to the fertilizer industry, for green hydrogen, transition scheme price low as 49 rupees per kilogram was discovered, which is approximately 55 cents per kilogram. He says if this continues, if the directionally we continue, it's gonna be great news for the country because again, it's something to do with imports, it's something to do with energy. You know that India imports a lot of energy. Because of that, our import bill rises. Because of that, our forex gets drained. Because of that, we cannot have exports which are competitive, because if you are an import dependent economy, your currency has to be priced in a certain way, right? But if you're an export dependent economy, your currency can go down, right? And your exports will be more competitive. But since we are an import dependent nation, if our currency goes down, it creates havoc in the country. So this is great news in all ways, right? Now we've discussed a lot of good news for the country. Let's discuss some challenges. India is asking US to allow Iran oil if Russian oil is to be curbed. So India has said that you want us to curb the Russian oil supplies, but if you want us to curb that, we need some sort of good news as far as Iran is considered, because Iran is also a sanctioned play. And if Iran is such a sanctioned play, how can we cut Iran and Russia at the same time? So choose your enemy, right? That's what India has said. At the same time, India is looking at some sort of challenges as far as the trade negotiations are considered. India had said that it's willing to take energy from US, but at the same time, they see that the IT services right now, it's just an H1B crisis, right? But to put pressure on India, what's on cards is that the IT industry could face some sort of digital tariff of sorts, right? It's hard to tariff a service, a digital service like IT, but the US government has been looking at that, so that is a bit of a challenge. Speaking of challenges, India is not alone. Bosch, the iconic German company, is firing 13,000 people as it fights a $2.9 billion cost cap, right? The CEO says it's very painful, but there's no way around it. Why is Bosch firing a lot of people? Bosch is, into manufacturing of automotive equipment, right? Auto supplier, it's the world's top auto supplier. Auto industry has been sluggish to say the least, and also auto industries transitioning from what Bosch had a very good foothold on. Also, a company like Bosch, which is into precision manufacturing, high-end manufacturing, is facing an extraordinary amount of competition from China, because what these people did was when they offshored all the manufacturing to China, the McKinsey types, the US, the Germanys of the world, they thought that they'll stay low end, right? And these people will stay high end, and China will keep making low quality, low precision, entry level stuff. But what happened was that China started making all of this high end stuff as well, right? And then it came to Bosch, companies like Bosch getting in trouble. So earlier, China was not in precision manufacturing or high end, high engineering manufacturing. That was still Germany's domain. Not anymore. Not anymore. So Germany is getting screwed from all ends, from immigration, from quality of life, from energy. From they closed all their nuclear power plants. They wanted to transition to green energy. They are now importing more fossil fuels than ever. So Germany is a total shithole, all thanks to the great policies of Madam Angela Merkel. So she really took Germany down with her, man. Unbelievable. And now the German auto cars, of course, auto industry is also in big trouble. You can sense where the auto industry is going by just finding out that the world's fastest car is now a BYD. Did you know that? So BYD conducted a test for the world's fastest car. So they ran a particular electric model, and it went up to 496 kilometers per hour. 496 kilometers per hour. The fastest car earlier was something like at least 100 kilometers less. So there's BYD, and then there's many buckets of shit, right? And then there's everybody else as far as the fastest car record is considered, which is extraordinary. Now, these things used to be out of reach of the East, right? These things used to be these frontier sort of examples, right? These pioneering examples used to be the domain of Germany and all of these people. Not anymore. So Bosch cutting jobs, firing 13,000 people, right? It's a very, very big signal of a declining civilization. It's not just a business problem. It's a civilizational problem. What they've been going through, it's big in every way. Mr. Sharma says, really amazing job from BYD. Oh yeah, you can watch that video. It's just extraordinary. 496 kilometers per hour, right? And they've left everybody behind. That's just wow. Speaking of problems with the West, Trump had a meeting with Turkey, and Trump said that Erdogan is the leader of Turkey. A pretty big asshole, if you ask me. For India, of course, a very, very bad leader. But these two people had a deal, and Trump said that we are not assuring that you will be a part of the F-35 deal, but you can be, right? And Trump has said that Turkey needs to cut Russian oil, because China, India, and then Turkey. Turkey is the third largest importer of Russian oil, right? So he wants Turkey to cut down on Russian oil. Turkey is a NATO member, right? And if Turkey cuts down on the Russian oil imports, it's going to be a very, very big problem for Russia. So Trump is growing really impatient with Russia, says Mr. J.D. Vance. He said President Trump is going incredibly impatient with Russia because he feels that Putin hasn't done anything serious to come back on the table. So that's what's happening, a big meet. And in that meeting, a video went viral. It was hilarious in every way. He said that, rigged elections, he knows about rigged elections better than anybody. So he talked about Erdogan. And he said he knows about rigged elections better than anybody. So that was just hilarious because Erdogan is, he has the critical media shut out, political people jailed, and so on. So it's a sham of a democracy, Turkey. And he says rigged elections he knows better than anybody, and he was sitting right in front of him. It was just, it was stuff of TV, man. Good television. Mr. Hashim, cybersecurity specialist CCSK says, I have one suggestion. You are doing a nice podcast, but better stick to your points with a specific topic within finance. Well, okay. No. Mr. Tiwari says, has Indian IT, after doing low and back-end work, climbed up the value chain? China has done something good in moving up in value chain in the manufacturing domain. Mr. Tiwari, that's a comment from Mr. Tiwari. That's a very, very good observation. Not really. So from IT services, from a time and material model, time and material is that you're billing man hours, you're billing man days, you're billing man hours, you're billing projects, right? You're running projects, maintenance projects, creation projects, build, operate, transfer kind of projects. The next step was creating products, right? That could have been the way to go. But Indian IT hasn't really gone up the value chain at all. So for 40 years, they've stayed, the IT business model has stayed pretty much the same. Now people can argue, but Infosys created Finacle, which is a banking product which works everything, right? But that's it, right? So not really. Indian IT has not climbed up the value chain, because if Indian IT had climbed up the value chain, you would have seen a lot of products coming out of India, and that hasn't happened. I mean, tech products, right? That has not happened at all, which is bad. So that's that. Unfortunately, can't say that. But Chinese, so that's the beauty of it, right? Services have a ceiling. Products have less of a limiting factor. So if you're actually manufacturing something, right, there is scope of doing better every day, because you can reduce cost, you can make things cheaper, you can make things better, you can make things faster. There's a lot of scope of it's a product, right? So scalability, efficient operations of manufacturing. Service is a service. So that is essentially a limiting factor which comes into play. Unfortunately, that has kept India back. Moving on. Mr. Musk has sued OpenAI for stealing its trade secrets. That's another lawsuit that has happened from Mr. Musk, which is huge. This is not getting better, right? A lot of back and forth, a lot of mudslinging happening from Sam Altman to Mr. Musk, from Musk to Mr. Sam Altman, and so on and so forth. It's huge. It's huge whatever's going on in that area. Moving on. Central bank is unlikely to slash rates further. That's obvious. We saw it coming. We said that it's gonna be status quo for a while, because the government or the RBI or the economy is in a state of motion right now, and you don't want to rock the boat too much, right? So the already given rate cut has given a lot of boost, and then there's this also GST cut, and then there's this also personal tax, rationalization. So GST rationalization, rate cut, personal tax rationalization, and a lot of moves are happening already, and inflation is pretty much in control. it's not rising. So you've got to wait and watch, especially because the rates are now translating into action, right? The interest rates are going to come. So most economics expect MPC to hold repo rate at 5.5% at August 1 meeting. So that's what economists are saying. Uh, the counter view can be the government might just be very aggressive. It just be looking at extreme aggressiveness for growth. If that's what happens, then you might just see, something further happening. However, it'll be just generally better for the government to look at the situation, wait and watch, and see how it happens, and then look at some rate cuts in the beginning of next year, right? Because a lot of consumer action is happening, a lot of banking action is happening, a lot of liquidity things are getting sorted out. A rate cut will rock those boats. Moving on. NBFCs have grabbed a personal loan share. So that's we've been discussing about that. NBFCs, the growth rate of NBFCs have has risen as far as the personal loan segment is considered. It The value rose by 41% from 27% 2 years earlier, right? And portfolio at risk (PAR) is also at in a comfortable range. So that's what's happening as far as personal loan space is considered. Some action getting stolen away from banks. Moving on. Some news from HUL, which is not important. Uh, whatever is happening as far as buying is considered of the country, in the country, a lot of it is still happening with the premium sectors. Let's say premium phones, 30,000 plus phones, premium TVs, premium heavy electronics, uh, premium cars. Entry level cars are, or entry level stuff is still a bit hazy. I'm not saying that it's totally uh, not uplifting. It is uplifting, but how uplifting it is something to be judged more carefully. Uh, if all the action starts happening in premium space, either of the two things are happening. Either the country is becoming richer, right? The country is just richer, right? They're just being able to afford more premium stuff, more premium cars, more premium everything. Or whatever wealth is being made at the top end of the spectrum. Now, first can obviously not be true. The former explanation can obviously not be true. But the latter explanation, if that is true, it sort of proves to be a problem. Also, it is a problem not just for consumers, not just for the country, but also for the makers, because the volume comes from the bottom of pyramid, right? Moving on. Delivery crews are getting more money from quick commerce players. So there's a lot of flux in the delivery rider uh, ecosystem. E-commerce, quick commerce, all these people are trying to lure these people in, and they're paying exorbitant amount of money to get these people to be delivery boys. They say that in 2021 it was 21,000, now it's 26,000 that they're paying. And then they're also saying that incentives could go up to, they could go really high, and delivery executives could be ending up making something like a 40-50,000 rupee per month, right? Now that is not good at all. If delivery rider jobs attract more people and in such a flux, they're gonna turn those people away from real jobs where they have an opportunity to actually learn something and grow and have a real career in. Because delivery executives, the delivery rider thing, it's not a real job. It's not a job at all. It's a trap, as we've discussed in depth, right? If you are a delivery boy right now, the money you're gonna make is only gonna go down. That graph will go down. You're not gonna learn anything. You're gonna go to and fro in a 3.5 kilometer radius from a dark store to people. You're not gonna get any skills. You're not gonna learn any skills. Hell, you'll not even be wearing a helmet, because the electric vehicles, the low end of the spectrum, they don't have such mandates. So it's going to be compromised safety for no skills, for no earning opportunities, for no learning opportunities. It's just a, sad thing. So more money to delivery executives might just look like good news right now, but it is not really. Mr. Sethi asks, how concerning do you see the problem of rising income inequality? Well, it's not rising. I mean, it is, if you look at the data like that, that income inequality is rising because the richest people are getting richer and so on and so forth. Well, that always happens. But India has been able to get like 300 million people out of poverty, right? Despite the below the poverty line getting revised. So earlier it was some $2 or something. Now it's three and a half, $4, whatever. I'm missing the numbers. We have had a very, very deep discussion on it. Despite all those revisions, India has been able to bring people out of poverty better than anybody. People are the unemployment rate is low. Uh, the job additions are high, formal and informal. Uh, if you look at the Manrega scheme, the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme, its applicant numbers are low. That means that people are actually finding out better job opportunities elsewhere. So, it's not like that. At least in India, things are getting better. But yes, if it is to be found that the bottom of pyramid is still not consuming, it's going to be a very, very big problem for the country. Mr. Sharma asks, I agree with you but in a way, delivery rider job does provide a little bit better work for daily wage workers as compared to traditional labor jobs like construction. Not really. Not really. Construction has some growth curve, some learning curve, some earning curve, some operational experience. It is a skill, right? It is a skill, and it can pay. So if you look at a carpenter, it keeps making more money. The guy earns better. The guy learns on the job. It goes. His career trajectory looks like this, right? But a delivery guy has no such career trajectory. So moving on. Mm-hmm. A lot of political chit chat, some real political nonsense coming from all directions, from all parts of the country, which is very sad. Moving on, we'll not discuss politics. So glad we don't discuss politics, right? Uh, Politics is just extraordinarily hard. I don't think there's any point of discussing politics with anybody. So that's what I've realized, that you think you are discussing politics, and you think, or you have the illusion, or let's say you have the hope that you'll be able to change somebody's minds with facts or with numbers or whatever. But people, with politics, real cognitive dissonance happen. It's like one screen but four movies playing out. So it's impossible to have political discussions in this day and age, right? So better not do them at all. Moving on. Russian deputy prime minister is in India, right? And they're talking a lot about ties in agriculture. So India has Russia exporting a lot of agricultural supplies to the country. India is deeply dependent on fertilizers from China, and when China blocked the fertilizer supply to the country, what India did was it started looking at other countries who could help, like Middle East, like Russia. So Russia has assured that this particular thing is going to be huge, the agriculture fertilizer play, right? So Russia has been talking about that a lot. Russia has also talked about, you know, uh, the deputy prime minister visited Uttar Pradesh trade show, which was happening. So he said that Russia and India have a deeper partnership. So if you look at shrimp, which is about a $7.5 billion export play, 7.5 to $10 billion for India, and most of it went to US, and US laid some tariffs on shrimp, Indian shrimp, and India was deeply troubled. So Russia said that, hey, we're going to try and absorb some of this. Even though Russian economy is very small, so Russia cannot possibly replace US, but a lot of good words have been exchanged between Russian deputy prime minister and India. So yeah, that's what's happening. Government has reduced taxes on large scale and so on and so forth. He's talked about what India has been doing, and yeah, so Indo-Russian partnership is stronger than ever. In the meanwhile, PM, the Indian government has also launched 1.2 lakh crore worth of projects in Rajasthan. So that's what's going on. Inaugurated multiple state and central projects. Uh, Interacted beneficiaries of e-Kusum. So 1.2 lakh crores is something. How much is it in dollars? 1 lakh crores, 12 to 14 billion dollars. So about 15 billion dollars worth of projects, you know, have been launched in Rajasthan. It's to be seen how much of that, uh, where that allocation has happened. That's not been detailed, but it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be really interesting. Moving on. Pakistan has been meeting with US. Sharif meets Trump in Washington. So, moving on. It's a pretty heavy day, right? Pretty heavy day. A lot of information coming at you. I hope it's nice though. I hope the flow you're liking it, right? Hold on. The daily mental workout continues. Meaty is Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. They say that GST portal could be made as a single window for IT exports. So IT exports coming under GST window, it's supposed to reduce the compliance burden. It's supposed to reduce the regulatory overload. So right now, when it comes to the IT exports, something called a what is this for? Softex is used. Softex framework. It is used. Software export declaration form, right? Are reported. So software exports are reported using Softex. They say that Softex could be integrated in the GST system, and which will basically kill the redundancies and kill the duplication of efforts, right? So that's what's happening with right now with the Ministry of Information, Electronics and METI, basically export declaration forms. So they're saying that this particular thing, the STPI is I'll just I'm forgetting that information. 1 second. Yeah, Software Technology Parks of India. So STPI has reported that Indian IT exports have remained on a growth path, right? FY25 estimated at a 225 billion from 195 in FY24. They say that regulatory overload, if minimized, could actually help. It always does, right? Regulatory overload, compliance burdens, if taken away, they lead to a lot of good things for the country, which is not surprising at all. Taiwanese companies keen on FTA with India. Both countries interested in cooperating with semiconductors, says Trade Council chairman. But the problem is, nobody knows till when Taiwan will be an independent country, right? So that's a big sword hanging down their neck. I met somebody from Taiwan. Uh, so I began that conversation, and it was very nice. I was talking, and it was great. And then I just asked, knowingly, that it could be a sensitive thing. So I said, "Is Taiwan a real country? I mean, uh, what? I didn't say real country. So is Taiwan a country, or is it, the China thing?" And she said, "Oh, that is a real sensitive question. So China tries to block everything we do." And then she went on a 15-minute rant about China and how they basically are hurting Taiwan in every possible way. And that was very interesting. But the point is, uh, uh, Taiwan has a lot of problems. But Taiwanese companies have been supporting India in a lot of ways. Imports made of 10 billion of this, rising 20%, of increasing inbound shipment of integrated circuits, micro assemblies, data processing machines, and so on. So, moving on. Bharti Warburg is raising 450 million for higher stake buyout. So Bharti is looking at, finally, it's looking at some diversification. It had been looking at diversification forever. So in one of the interviews, Mr. Sunil Bharti had said that, hey, uh, what's your regret? Somebody asked him, the interviewer, and he said, my biggest regret is that Bharti couldn't really diversify beyond telecom. So I wish we had a business beyond telecom which was as strong as telecom, right? But we're not. So we're totally dependent on one industry, which is sad. But they've been trying. So Bharti Airtel Payments Bank is a step in that direction. Of course, Bharti also tried to be in the consumer business, right? Didn't work out for them. They tried uh, diversification of geographies. So they went to Africa. That has been very successful. But really, it hasn't been that great for Bharti to move away from telco. But now they're buying a stake in Hire. So let's see what happens, right? In the Yeah. So that's what's happening. A very interesting play. Moving on. Chinese electronics maker, 49%. So they're going to buy 49%. Moving on, it's very, very interesting that Indian logistics cost at 8% of GDP. Rail most efficient, says report. So India's logistics cost in 2023-24 total an estimate 7.97% of its GDP, with rail logistics emerging as cost efficient mode with an average cost of 1.96 rupee per ton per kilometer. So if you remember, we've been talking a lot about Mr. Nitin Gadkari saying that the spend on logistics as a percentage of GDP is right now at 9%, and he wants it to go lower, right? And each percentage point that you shave off as a on logistics, on spend on logistics, means that you're going to make up for it in GDP. So cheaper logistics means a growing nation or a faster growing nation, because logistics is speed, right? So if your GDP spend on logistics goes down from, let's say, 12% as it was earlier to 10% to 9% to 8%, your economy will move faster, because you will be spending less money to travel, less money to transfer or transport material, transport goods. What does lower transport spend means? It means that the roads are better. It means that there are more opportunities. It means that there's saving of time, there's saving of money. It means that people will have to spend less on logistics, which means that the prices of materials will go down, prices of products will go down, which means that there's going to be more economic activity, which means that there's going to be more jobs, which means that there's going to be more consumption, and so on and so on and so on, right? So the second order effects of logistics spend, they're just mind blowing. So some data: air transportation was the most expensive, albeit the fastest mode of freight transportation, averaging 72 rupees per ton per kilometer. So if you look at rail, it's 1.96 rupees per ton per kilometer. Air is 72 rupees per ton per kilometer. Road is 11 rupees per ton per kilometer. So road is 11 rupees, rail is 1.96 rupees, air is 72 rupees. So that's how these things work out, right? Road still has an opportunity to reduce. If road gets reduced, I mean per ton per kilometer, the logistics spend on road, right, price, that means everything is going great, right? So if you bring the road expense down from, let's say, 11 rupees to 9 rupees, still almost 5 times the rail, right? You'll never be able to beat rail is like extremely cost efficient, right? But if you're going to bring the road down, it's going to be just your GDP will start showing like a 0.5 or a 1% fillip, right? It's just that magical. Study estimates logistics cost to be this, and 9% of non-services, right? So that's that. Aggregate logistics cost is estimated at 24 lakh crore. 24 lakh crore is 20 lakh crore is basically 120 billion dollars. So 10 lakh crores is 120 billion dollars. So 240, 250, 260 billion dollars. That's what the country spends on logistics, apparently. About 300 billion. So, some numbers. Until now, logistics costs in India were often misrepresented with commonly cited figures of 13 to 14%. This led to inconsistent estimates. But now we have a more scientifically deduced data to speak. So that's what these people are saying. They have obviously gotten an opportunity to go even better with the logistics spend. How do you think about that? Right? Railways are rolling out new tender conditions, boosting flexibility. We've already talked about shipbuilding. Shipbuilding is also to do with logistics. Viewers of Thinkers Frequency know we've discussed about that. How does shipbuilding help logistics? Do you know? Can you give me an answer? How is shipbuilding helping logistics in this day and age of the Indian economy? I have told you a lot about it, and it's some miracle. It's the whole industry itself didn't exist a few years prior, right? What is that industry, and how does it help logistics? I'm waiting. No. Mr. Piyush Sethi says mother of heavy engineering, second order effects. That's okay. That's okay. I'm saying shipbuild inland waterways. Yes. Mr. Manocha, you're right. Inland waterways. So inland waterways is that miracle that has the potential of changing the nation. It can change the country, right? It's in very nascent stages even now. So these people started talking about inland waterways back in 2016. The first mention of inland waterways was 2015-16. So they said that India has a very, very large river network, right? Now, if you could use that river network to transport materials, it could be miraculous because it's much cheaper. It's not fast, but it's much cheaper. Also, it decongests the roads and it lays the pressure off the railways. And it's basically a new market, right? Imagine it's just a new thing, right? Inland waterways, the rivers were flowing, the rivers were there. Hey, why don't we put a ship on these rivers and transport materials? So they said that we're going to go from Agra, right? And Agra has a lot of footwear. It's the footwear capital of the country. So they say we'll get this footwear transferred from Agra to Bangladesh through inland waterways. Can you imagine? So that was their sell, and much cheaper, extremely cheap, decongest the roads, more environment friendly, and so on and so forth. And that is related to shipbuilding. So shipbuilding is not just going to help the coastline, which of course it will. Shipbuilding will also help the inland waterways play, which is just like a new opportunity. I hope an inland waterways company gets listed, so you could invest in it, right? So we could invest in it because it's just gonna be, or a startup in inland waterways we'd love to invest in. It's just it is a green field. It's literally a blue ocean. There's a management lingo called blue ocean strategy, which is basically which talks about things that are new and unexplored and how it makes sense to venture into those areas as a business. Inland waterways is that area. Moving on. Exporters to get 90% upfront refund only after GST law change. So exporters wanted some help with the refund, right? Upfront refund. Basically, that was supposed to help with their working capital needs, right? Especially during the tariff situation. All sorts of things needed to be helped. They say that this is only going to happen after the GST law has been changed, because without that, it's going to be a bit of a hassle to manage this legal to and fro, right? So they've passed an ordinance or something, but government wants ordinance to fast track refunds law panel to examine. So they're saying the GST Council had earlier this month announced upfront release of 90% refunds of exporters on the provisional basis when it revealed tax reforms. But it says that the current law does not have a provision that allows for risk-based provisional refunds. This becomes more complex in case of industries with inverted duty structure. So a complicated mess, but they're trying. Moving on. Indian refiners crude processing falls 4.4% thanks to Russia. Moving on. Indian airports get high on liquor sales, 12% growth in duty-free whiskey sales against 8% fall in domestic market sales in 2024. So while the domestic market is falling, the airport play is ringing up. Now, what did I tell you about alcohol consumption? Alcohol consumption, do you remember what I told you about alcohol consumption across the world? Not just India, but across the world. And what has the industry been doing to salvage, or let's say make up or offset that particular concept? So number one, what's happening with the alcohol consumption of the country? And number two, what is the industry trying to do to make up for it? I'll take a sip. So Mr. Yogendra Pratap Singh says alcohol consumption going down. That's right. Due to alternate drugs, it's that's not the only reason, but yeah, big reason. And sector focusing on premiumization. Mr. Yogendra Pratap Singh, you're 100% right. I do not need to say anymore. Right? Shift to premium, says Mr. Ashutosh Bhandekar, and that's exactly what's happening. So Indian airports get high on liquor sales. It's one indication of what we had been talking about, right? So whatever we talked about, there are ways in these things, how these things manifest, right? So exactly what happened. You see, Indian airports get high. Duty-free sales at terminals grows at a faster pace than in local market as more begin to fly. So that's what's happening. Moving on. Tax release cut through even into the premium segment. Well, that's okay. Electric car sales are up 71%. Two-wheelers up 12%. So even though two-wheelers didn't get any electric two-wheelers or electric vehicles 5% GST. So while everything shifted, like more GST norms, the new GST favored the non-electric entry level stuff. People are still buying electric vehicles, which is great. So electric vehicles have been able to move forward. Alvarez and Marshall bets on India's mid-market rise. So the MD and COO of Alvarez and Marshall, they are a consulting play. They say businesses that had 10 crore EBITDA probably 10 years ago now have 100 crore, and this will go 1,000 crores. So this requires a lot of consulting partnership, he says. This is to be read in consonance with what the government wants to do as far as the whole consulting play is considered. Do you remember what the government wanted to do with the consulting, the auditing play? You remember that? So India doesn't have a lot of representation as far as the auditing and consulting play, even though we are a service economy majorly, right? Even though our strength is in IT services, if IT services have grown as much, why didn't our consulting services grow? Why didn't our auditing services grow? Why don't we have our own Big Four? Mr. Abhishek Sharma says Indian version of Big Four, Big Three. Correct. So that's what India has been trying, and it seems that the government is reading the room right? So Alvarez and Marshall going big. So they have a GCC in India. They also have a unit in India. They have a lot of people hired. The firm had almost 300 people in India a couple of years ago. Now employs 1,200 here. India consulting business has 500 people, while the GCC employs 700 people. So that's what's going on. We've already talked about Maruti, 57.6 billion. Share price 25% up since August 14. Oh my God. Since 1.5 month, Maruti's share price has gone 25% up. Well, it was to be expected, especially because of the GST thing going, helping the entry level cars, and Maruti is the proxy of entry level cars, right? So we discussed that. Moving on, we also talked about the loan business, right? Uh, 2.3 portfolio at risk for NBFCs with the personal loan, improving from 2.7 2 years earlier. Uh, mhm. NBFC share in new personal loan originations value rose 41% from 27% 2 years earlier. In terms of volume, share surged 92%. So NBFCs are really doing it. Banks continue to grow in high ticket loans, but personal loans, NBFCs. Moving on, Madam Nirmala Sitharaman has said banks should keep the balance sheet strong to fund infrastructure and innovation. Well, thank you, ma'am. But is that does that mean anything? Of course, right? Banks would try to keep their balance sheet strong to fund infrastructure and innovation, but how? I mean, I'm kidding. Banks are doing great. Banks have a lot of money. Banks, you know, are partnering. Are they're not bad. They were bad a few quarters ago, but now they're picking up. But this is basically a kind of thing that, our uncles come to our house when we were kids and they say, "Beta, ध्यान से पढ़ो, अच्छे से पढ़ो और top करना." And the kid is like, "But uncle, वही तो नहीं हो पा रहा है," right? These partnerships help enhance credit flow to the underserved sectors, ensuring funds reach ultimate beneficiary at affordable costs. So they're talking about, they're basically nothing, right? Moving on. Credit card issuances have soared to a 7-month high in August. 7-month high in August. Credit cards, 7-month high August. So right before September, Indians got 7 lakh credit cards in 1 month. What does that mean? Well, that is a leading indicator. That is a terrific leading indicator of what's going to happen, right? As far as the consumption is considered, credit cards are for discretionary spend or a lot of spend, right? Credit cards basically signal incoming spend, right? So if the country added 7 lakh cards in a month leading up to the consumption fillip, which is going to happen, which has already happened from 22nd September, that says a lot. That says a lot. So now the country has active credit cards of 112 million. 112.3 million. 112.3 million is essentially 11 crores. 11.3 crores. Right? So a lot of credit cards getting added. This means that you can expect the consumption play to be really heavy. Like there is no reason why it wouldn't be heavy if this is particularly happening. So before this, they weren't being able to grow. So I'll just tell you. Okay. I just need to say what was the July count. So the July count isn't mentioned, right? But August 2024, yeah. So July count isn't mentioned. So we don't know how many cards were added in July, but it's still a big number. So there are individual numbers. Axis Bank followed with 1,40,000 additions, right? Against 1,22,000 in July. So Axis Bank added more credit cards in August than July. That's good. HDFC added 2.2 lakh credit cards compared to 3.15 lakh credit cards in July. So that's not nice. ICICI Bank added 1.3 lakh cards, up from 67,000. So overall, credit cards have grown from July as well. So that's what I was checking, which means this is good news. Moving on. Skill India is getting a dedicated data and strategy unit. Very necessary. India has a skill problem, and a skill problem needs to be measured properly. which is why they're getting a data unit. By in the meanwhile, MOSPI has come out with the data on student dropouts and child health, right? And they've said that dropouts have fallen and child health is rising. So MOSPI is Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, right? So they say secondary level, the dropout rate fell to 8.2% in 2024-2025 from 13.8 in 2022-2023. So that's cool. And health status is also pretty, it's looking better. Infant mortality rate declining to 25 per thousand live births compared to 32 in 2018. So 32, 25, 13%, 8%. So that's cool. MOSPI. Moving on. How much do you trust the data coming from MOSPI? Do you trust the data coming from MOSPI? That's a question. Moving on. Jet fuel demand has slowed after 4 years of strong growth. Of course, during COVID, everything was down. So after COVID, it grew a lot. But then, in the last year, in this year, we saw plane crashes, a lot of problems, SpiceJet going under. So jet fuel demand has slowed down. And if it has slowed down, it's not good news, right? That's not nice at all. Moving on. US economy has risen, has grown by 3.8%. People were expecting a 3.3%, but Q2 has grown. They've surprised everybody. Consumption has been strong. Consumption has not declined. Last quarter, the economy grew only by 0.6%. Why? Because can you guess why US economy didn't grow last quarter? And why? If I tell you, it's gonna be out, but we discussed about this. So the GDP growth reduces something, adds something, because what is to be reduced rose so much that the GDP number came down, the growth number came down. Now, what was that? What was that? Can you guess? We've talked about that. No, it was the import number, right? Because of tariffs, a lot of front loading had happened, and because of all that front loading, import numbers went up. Import is to be subtracted from the GDP, so that's why US GDP didn't really grow or didn't show growth in the last quarter, but now it's back, and that was expected, by the way. So 3.8, imports fall 29%, boosting growth by over 5 percentage points. So consumption is strong, inflation is down, US economy is looking good, man. Right? So who was right? I guess it's safe to say that Trump was right, at least till the time everything blows over, right? That's yeah. So front loading changed a lot of things. US consumers remained a lot stronger than many thought, even in the midst of stock market sell-off and a lot of trade uncertainty. A category within the GDP that measures economy's underlying strength came stronger. Private investment fell. Yeah, that's that. So, speaking of, we talked about consumption. Maruti Suzuki, doubled its bookings in festive season. Beyond top 100 cities too, we are seeing strong demands. Bookings in tier 2, tier 3 have grown up. Reduced GST on small cars. Yeah, we talked about this. Okay. Together with promotional offers and festive schemes, price advantages on passenger vehicles average are currently at an all-time high to 12 to 15%. Of course, price advantages are an all-time high. Bookings have risen 35% in the first 4 days of Navratri. Small cars has been higher at 15%, 50%. So even small cars are picking up. That's what I was checking. And with that, we've come to the end of the 124th episode of Thinker's Frequency. Our daily mental workout, our daily dose of insights and analysis, which don't lead to paralysis, right before we punch in. How was it, guys? Was it fun? Was it fun? It wasn't much funny because I didn't crack a lot of jokes. I tried to be funny, but today I wasn't. But I hope it was still fun. I hope it added value to you. It definitely added a lot of value to me. So thank you so much. I need to thank Mr. Sharma, Mr. Tiwari, Mr. Sethi, Mr. Singh, Mr. Bhandekar, Mr. Barun Sharma. He says, loved it. Thanks for your time. It was fun. Thank you. Says Mr. Amrit Raj. Mr. Raj, thank you so much. It was really nice. I hope you have a beautiful day, personally and professionally. I'll see you tomorrow. Same place, same time, hopefully. Mr. Sharma says it was great. Thank you. So sweet of you. This is such a good start to the day. We've got everything covered. We know everything, mostly, that is happening in the world, right? Minus the bullshit. So we cut out the bullshit, focus on the numbers, try to predict things, see our predictions coming true. It's such beautiful experience. And I'll see you tomorrow, same place, same time, hopefully. Bye-bye. Take care.